Greetings, everyone, and welcome to our Toe Trend podcast here at Autura. My name is Shelli Hawkins. I am going to be your co-host. That's right. We do have another host joining us for our exciting new podcast. I'm going to go ahead and introduce him. His name is Dennis McGowan. Dennis, say hello to our audience.
Hello, audience. Hello, beautiful people. Shelli, it is great to see you. Great to be back, and great to be doing a podcast with you again.
I'm experiencing some deja vu here, Dennis.
Deja vu?
It means
As
we
if we've
did,
done this before?
as if we perhaps done this before, yes.
Maybe in a past life.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to begin this new podcast journey with you to bring to our audience all of the important topics that is, on their mind about the towing industry. I'm excited to do all the things that we did before, where you're highly Italian and opinionated and you talk over top of me and we start arguing. So, yes, Italian for days. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm waving my hands as if this is a video podcast. I don't know if we're video or audio only yet, but we're gonna have some fun with this. But we're also gonna talk about important things that are happening across the industry. As the months roll on, we'll have some pretty interesting guests. We'll have some great conversations with towers, with other folks in the industry, and we're just looking to talk about what's next, right? What's next for us? What's next for Atura? What's next for the towing industry as a whole, right? And this is obviously, we both work here, but this is a podcast that is going to be for the industry, and we're going to be here to talk to the industry about industry problems. And we've been blessed by our leadership to be able to be in this space where they're sponsoring us and allowing us to have free reign on what we're talking about here. So if there's any topics that you think we should be discussing, anything important that should come up, please get in touch with us. Let us know. I'm sure you have Shelly's number. Everybody has Shelly's number. And
Not everyone has Shelley's number, Dennis.
well, if you don't have Shelly's number, I'm sure you have a friend who has Shelly's number. It's not hard to get in touch with us.
Fair enough. Super, super exciting to do all the things. So, welcome. Just so many thoughts here. Dennis, I guess let's kick it off by turning it over to you and doing a little bit of a mini podcast here. You've been in the towing industry since you were born in the beautiful state of New York, mostly. And, I want to learn, I want our audience to learn about you. I want them to learn about your experience. And for those of you listening, I want Dennis to go into what I call the Estra trade show accent, because anytime Dennis and I have gone up to that Empire State Towing Association trade show up in upstate New York, Lake George, the Adirondacks, it's absolutely gorgeous. Dennis is surrounded by the Mazzios, the Denomies, Joy from All County, Moduleskis, McDonald's Towing. Dennis, like, I want you to bring this New York accent
I mean,
back.
we might have to swap out this coffee for something a little stronger if you want the accent to really come out.
Well, once we get into it, I'm sure it'll come out naturally for sure. Take us back. What has been your industry experience?
I grew up in this business. Grew up in the passenger seat of a tow truck, being driven to school. My dad is a tower. My grandfather actually towed for the New York City MTA, so I guess technically I'm a third generation tower.
What's MTA?
The Metropolitan Transit Association. He towed buses when they broke down. He was a bus mechanic, and back then they used to just send the mechanics out with the old homes or the well built at the time.
Yeah, what a brand. I want Frenchie to bring back the Weld Built. I love seeing the Weld Built at New York,
I would
Baltimore.
absolutely pay money for a well built T-shirt. So Frenchie, if this gets to you, please let me know. I will absolutely buy a dozen T-shirts next week.
He's still kicking around. I had no idea your grandfather was in the industry. No clue. I mean,
Not
mechanic with
industry
towing.
adjacent. Yeah,
Yeah,
industry
yeah.
adjacent. Yeah. My dad worked various places throughout the industry. He recently retired, but I started working in the business when I was about 14 or 15 on my own, working for a body shop, answering phones on the weekends, dispatching overnights when they needed somebody to fill in, washing trucks, sweeping the floor of the shop. The things you do when you're 15 years old and trying to be kept out of trouble in the
Yeah.
summertime, and as opposed to running around the neighborhood with my friends. Although I did manage to get a few poker games going at night and at some of those overnight shifts, but that's a different story.
I'm imagining the scene from The Sopranos in your basement at the age of 15. You've got the kids together. It's just like a whole racket down there.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was. It was, my buddies used to come and hang out on Friday nights with their cars, and the owner of the shop didn't really mind because there were people around, and so, it deterred, any sort of crime or anything else happening. Nobody was trying to come into the lot and steal stuff out of cars, or because we were in a little bit of a rough neighborhood.
Yeah.
But from there, I wound up working at a place called Mike's Heavy Duty Towing in Brooklyn. You may be familiar with those guys if you're up in the area. And I started out again as the overnight dispatcher, answering phones, when they took over the highway program in the early 2000s,
Mm.
or late 2000s, I want to say 2007, 2008, they took over the highway program there in New York City. We rapidly expanded that business. We had a ton of trucks on the road. I think at our biggest, we had probably 70 or 80 trucks on the road, 100, 150 employees
Wow.
at the biggest. It was a massive operation. And I grew up with those guys and I came up through the ranks and again started out as the overnight dispatcher, and eventually it was hey, here's the keys to it, we need somebody to go do this call, here's the keys to a truck,
Mm.
go figure it out. My first police call, I remember off the top, I'll never forget this. It was a two-car accident. Police rotation call, got called out with the rolled up with the rollback, only to find out that one of the cars was inside of a laundromat.
What?
It had jumped the curb, went through a building. Thankfully, there were some old timers in the neighborhood that were, some old toll guys that were in the neighborhood that helped me
Mm.
figure out what the hell I was doing because I hadn't
Mm.
the slightest clue. I was about 18, 19 years old. Here's the keys to a truck. Never really, you know, went out on my own before, but, figured it out, got them back. And I stayed with that company a very long time. I was there almost a decade, still very good friends with those guys. When I left, I was the GM of our main location over there in Brooklyn. We had trucks running out of Brooklyn. We had trucks running out of Long Island. We had trucks running out of Newark, New Jersey, Moonachie, New Jersey. We had a pretty big operation, and it was a lot of fun. And you know, back then we had the old timers that would come around and talk about back in the day and how much better it was back in their day and how much more money they made and how easier life was for them. And now I feel like that's me talking about those old times and how much money we made and how easy it was and how we got away with so much stuff. This is way before the big safety initiatives and everything else came across the industry. So there was some cowboy crap that we were doing for a little while. But
No high vis back in those days.
no, no, that was,
No slow down, move over.
I mean, we had just started with the high vis because the police department, NYPD, was really pushing hard for us to do it. And even then, like you had it in the truck, but you didn't jump out with it on most of the time. But yeah, from there, left. I was at another towing company in a while, Jets Towing in Brooklyn. We grew that shop up a lot. We went from I think 8 to 14 trucks within 2 years. Light, medium, heavy. Did a ton of work for some motor clubs. Geico being one of them. They were we had a great relationship with them.
Mm.
Came up through their ranks. From there, I moved out to the West Coast. I was working for a very, very large AAA station out there, helping them improve some of their metrics. Learned a lot about the inner workings of AAA operations and how, as a dedicated AAA vendor, how bonuses work and how you have to work within their system to make money and their
Mm.
battery service program and all the things that go along with that stuff. And really, that is such a more consumer focused model.
Mm.
Obviously, AAA, there is they're always looking for what they call totally satisfied, right? They want um,
Correct.
their
Yeah.
customer service metrics. That is what is most important to them.
And for sure. So New York was municipality focused, heavy duty recovery focused, big trucks, complexities, invoicing commercial customers, and then the experience that you gained over in California was just that AAA experience, which is valuable today. I mean, we have every type and segment of the industry that is a part of motor clubs in some sort. It's how the majority of our folks get started in the towing industry. I remember interviewing Jeremy Procon from Interstate Towing about a year ago, and he made the statement that I'll never forget. He was like, I will never ever say anything negative about a motor club because that's exactly how I got started. At the age of, I think Jeremy was 17, he bought his very first rollback, and that is who helped him get the cash flow going, get some street cred out there, and get started. So yeah, I love this whole full circle of your experience.
Yeah, and then from there we wound up I wound up over at Honk Technologies. Worked with some great folks building some really cool product. And that's where Shelly and I got our careers intertwined there, and we've run across each other for a little while. We worked on a few different teams. Um, it's a great place to work, great operation, and it was fun building that company up. I started in, I think year four or year five. I was there for 6.5 years. Shelly, you were there for what, three over the course
Yeah.
of that run. And we built some really cool technology and really got to do some cool stuff to interface with the industry, like I don't think any other motor club has done before. And yeah, now we are here. But a lot of folks may know me. A lot of folks may know you. But for the ones that don't know you, Shelly, you've been around the block a few times in this business too. You've been doing this a very long time. Why don't you tell the folks that don't know who you are, where you come from, and what you do here?
You are so New York, Dennis. So you've been around the block. How about you say, Shelley, you've had some great experiences. Why
That's
don't
what
you
I
tell us
said.
about that? No, it's
That is
not.
that's what I just said. That's what I said.
In New York, you did. See, the New York is coming out. I love it. I knew that it would. Are you drinking like a double shot of espresso over there? What do you got going on?
There's like 4 shots of espresso in here with a little bit of pumpkin spice milk. It's delicious.
Mm, I love it. Fantastic. So yeah, I got my start in the towing industry in 2008. I worked for a publicly traded company called West Corporation, and I was on their corporate sales team. So my job there was to land corporate deals for the company to bring on new clients. And they were an outsourced inside sales provider. And I had a friend and a mentor reach out to me, Christy Schmidt. Never forget the day. She's like, let's go out to dinner. And I said, what's going on? And so, long story short, the gentleman that started the brand AW Direct are the Thibody brothers in Connecticut. And they had made the decision they had built this beautiful business called AW Direct back from the 60s.
So
And
that so
they
that's AW, not ANW, right? Not the root beer.
Correct. A&W is a root beer hot dog stand. AW Direct, pop quiz. Dennis, what does AW stand for?
You got me. I don't know.
Accessory wholesalers.
Accessory.
But these brothers had built up this fantastic business and they made a decision. We built this up. We'd like to retire. We'd like to move on to the next venture. And so they sold the company, AW Direct, to publicly traded Granger. And Granger owned a portfolio that was big of a lot of niche type industries. And so Granger had the idea to hire some salespeople. And so my friend Christy, said, this is something you should consider. And so I had the conversation and it went fantastic. And that is when I made the decision. Yeah, I'm early enough in the career that I'm not really sure about the towing industry. Let's give it a try. And from the very first phone call that I made to a towing company in my customer base, it was the it was just I found my people. Like, because what percentage of this industry is still family owned, Dennis? 90 some percent, would you say?
Got to be at least high 80s,
High
right? 80,
80s.
85%,
Yeah.
90%. Yeah, if I had to guess.
And when I made the realization that these towing companies, these towers, these operators and dispatchers are simply communicating and helping other people. I'm like, that's like exactly what I do every day. I love people, you know, I want to help people every single day. It's my mission, it's my passion. And I have found the intersection of my natural talents with this industry that I will never leave as long as I live. From there, so AW Direct started AW Direct in 2008. Then in 2016, I made the move to population 3,000 New Hampton, Iowa, to work for Paul and David Ridinghouse over at Zip Truck Equipment. And they wanted to build up their business selling accessories. And they are one of the, if not the largest distributors of tow trucks in the United States, but they knew that that was something that they were lacking. And so aggressively for 2 years, I came in and set them up with every distributor that I knew or had relationships with. I was calling the Waylands of the world. Every single accessory, like I'm at a loss here, like Stack, Access Tools, what JNC jump packs, like
I was gonna
whatever
say,
was
how,
in.
how can you forget
I
all these
know.
names? These are
How
these are
about
like recorded in your brain.
how about BA products? No, I know the part numbers, BSW 301. TM22J, I know those, but yeah, BA products, hello. And some of them had already been set up. They were already buying from Beta Robust. And then like 2 years later, in 2018, Zips made the decision to then purchase AW Direct. And that is when it became Zips AW Direct. And I say that that website, zips.com, is the Amazon of the towing industry. I mean, you've seen it from way back in the day, seeing little tiny tow trucks come across your desk, I'm sure. You guys would probably fight from it. And then you're showing me one. I just got that one in the mail the other day too.
Got one right. I got two of them right here, actually. I got a wrecker and a rollback too. I got one of
Nice.
each here. So
Outstanding. I do have the collection of rotators. They on occasion come out with new rotators. So it's
I've not got a rotator yet. I'm gonna have to make some phone calls.
I have some
I might
extras.
need, I
I'll
might
send
need
to you.
you to make some phone calls because
Well, I got a couple laying around here. I'll send you one.
send me one.
I like the ones that are like back from the 80s. Those are like the sacred ones. I've got a few pieces that I still have like saved and preserved. It's part of the history. It's part of the history, the towing history. But then Mr. Corey Brundage called me from Honk Technologies and said, Shelli, we want you to be a product manager here at Honk. And I said, I have no idea what that means. Because that's okay. We need your brain. You understand how to speak fluent tower, and we need you to help us build product here at Honk that resonates with the audience, that the tower can understand, easily to digest, actionable on that app. We got people to be product managers for the clients, for the end user experience, etc. We need you to do this. And so again, took a bunch of training, became a pragmatic certified product manager, and made the leap over there. And with that experience at Honk, I gained the knowledge of this is how technology is made. This is how it's written, built, curated for the product needing to be built, and this is how long it takes to make it and the changes. And yeah, and here we are. The same thing with the folks over at Traxero prior to the merger with Autura. They said, Shelli, we want you to help us out in all the ways here at the company. And so I'm the director of market engagement and customer growth here at Autura. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I mean, it's definitely the summarized version. If you want the full, gory detail version, buy Shelly a drink at the next tow show, and she will not stop talking. I promise.
I'm sure.
What's the what's the joke you told me your dad said? Is there a shorter version of this story?
Oh yeah, my dad will say, Shellbuck, is there a fast forward version to this story? Is there a shorter version, baby?
So, Shelly, you have been working on this for a little while. You started this last year, but let's talk about this state of towing report you and the fabulous folks over at the Autura marketing department have been working on for the past couple of years. And so, how did this get started? What is it? And what information? Let's go back to last year. So let's start with that.
Yeah.
How did this get started? How did this come about?
Absolutely. So we have a gentleman that works for us. It's incredibly talented, and he's one of my go-to here at the company, and his name is Andrew Cody. And just like all of us, we are always looking for inspiration, ideas, how can we be more impactful? And so it actually, the State of Towing survey 100% originated from the ideas of Andrew Cody. He brought it to the leadership. He certainly is also a leadership person, but said, hey, I think this is a great idea that we would make an all-encompassing survey and present the results in some matter. So that's just like the early days of what this potentially could look like. So we brought our marketing team together along with our sales leaders to kind of carve out exactly what this would look like.
Very cool. Very cool. And you got some great insights out of this already, 2 years in now.
Yeah.
Again, going back to last year, were there any big takeaways that you saw from last year, big trends that were, obviously important to the industry? What did you get out of that?
One of the main points that we realized is that we asked the question, what part of your business do you want to grow the most? And as you know, there's multiple revenue sources for towers. It can be motor club, municipality, they can be private property impound, they can be commercial customers or repossession, etc. Transport is certainly a big one also. And one of the biggest takeaways was they want to grow their commercial business. And you certainly having your New York experience can understand that because that's a B2B to relationship where you 100% own that relationship. There's nothing in the middle. And as you experience price increases, you then can be able to pass on those price increases.
Well, you have to remain competitive in your market too, right? Just because
Correct.
your costs are going up doesn't mean your customers want to pay more, especially if there are other options too. So it's all
This
about
is
being
true.
competitive in the market. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That is commercial accounts, shop accounts, house accounts, as they're known across the
Yeah,
industry.
I've heard that before.
Those are typically your biggest revenue drivers, right? If you police towing can be completely hit or miss. We know that you can make good money
Mm,
on certain calls and take a bath on some others. So, things like having consistent flow from commercial accounts is very important to the tower, right? It's that consistency that is typically lacking in some of these newer ventures that really can make or break your business.
100%. And this year, I'll just jump right into this year.
Yes.
The two major pain points that we discovered was the rising cost of insurance and the challenge to not only hire good employees that can do the job, but also retaining them in such a high pressure environment that does pose a lot of dangers. And so we extracted those out. We now had our very first webinar, I believe, a couple weeks ago, featuring Adrian Benoit from Elite Towing, and also our very own Jillian Grassetti, our Senior Vice President of Sales, hosting and moderating that webinar, asking Adrian Benoit personally, how have you overcome? What are your best practices to understanding the rising cost of insurance? Because it's always going to be going up. And then also, um, so the focus of that first one was insurance, but then this one that's upcoming, we're super excited about, is going to be hiring and retaining.
Very interesting. On the insurance topic, we know it's a nagging problem across the industry, and it has
Yeah.
been for a very long time. Do we have we thought about causes and effects and potentially some ways? Have we seen some ways? Anything from Adrian or any other toes that we spoke to that they found ways to combat that a little bit?
100%. It goes back to training foundationally. When you train your employees to understand how to be professional, how to operate the tow truck, and how to be efficient in those daily operations and what they're doing, it's going to reduce your claims. And anytime you can find a way to reduce your claims, your insurance hopefully will not go up. I do hear every single day that I've not had a claim ever with my insurance and it still goes up. Imagine a day where you do have a claim. So, foundationally, training is of utmost importance. The second one that Adrian highlighted that he's very much in favor for, that I see trending greatly in the towing industry, are captive groups of insurance, where it is pockets of towers that have come together that are holding each other accountable. For example, Dennis, if you and I were on the same insurance policy for our car, you're holding me accountable because if I get in a wreck, your insurance is
My
going to go
costs go
up.
up.
You bet. And so I would get angry with you. No, I would be like, what in the world? But it's being in a peer group, sharing best practices with each other, not just, the whole goal is to have control of your insurance.
So what you're saying is this industry benefits when towers come together to find solutions to overarching problems.
Correct.
Okay.
I think it is a benefit when human beings come together to solve problems. I mean, for sure, the problems of the towing industry, but yeah.
So reading through this report, and I've got the Cliff Notes version here, but we were looking at 72% of towers either were already have or were going to raise prices in 2025. That's a significant number of the industry. That is a large port. That is almost three-quarters of the industry plans on raising their prices this year. And we saw that again in the previous year. And we've heard, obviously not scientifically because we weren't tracking this previously, but we've heard about this pretty much since COVID, right? Since 2020, we have heard about the cost of everything going up for these towers, so they're continuously raising their prices. Have we heard from towers anything about potential pushback from customers or things of that nature of even potentially losing customers by raising prices?
Absolutely. Adrian even talked about it. He said, because we asked him, I said, as a result of your insurance going up, your other prices going up, have you ever had a situation where you had to pass on the price increase? And he talked us through it. He was on the verge of losing the customer, and he came in and said, if you decide to go with this other towing company, I want you to take the time to look at their tow trucks, look at how the operator presents themselves when they come on scene. Look and examine, like would the question that he asked that I'll never forget is, would you let one of your family members be in the same vehicle with this person? And so when he presented all that professionally to his commercial customer he's potentially going to lose, he retained it. And I thought, what a fantastic way to prove your value.
And on that same note, I've had some discussions with towers as well on this particular subject, and obviously I've lived through some of this too. Sometimes your business can benefit by cutting out some customers that don't want to pay the rates that you frankly deserve, right? You know what your costs are, you know what your rates are, and if you have a customer that can't work within that, then that's fine too, right? You can still maintain a professional relationship and say, great, Mr. ABC Trucking down the road, you want to go with the cheaper option? Great, good luck with that. But to Adrian's point, check that equipment when it comes in. Is your truck safety chain down when it's coming in? Is there a light bar on that? Is that driver getting out professionally dressed? Is he wearing that high vis that I never wore? Is he is that tower up to snuff? And is this who you want representing your business when your trucks are going down the road on the back of a truck? So that's something to consider. But not every customer is a steakhouse customer either, right? Not everybody wants to come in and sit down and have a quality steak. Some folks are happy with a McDonald's hamburger, and if that's the way they want to run their business, then maybe you don't need them to be your client too, right? You don't need to have every commercial fleet account in the city. You just need to have the ones that maximize your profit.
Proving your value to your customer, to look beyond just that number, and your margins that potentially are eroding, looking beyond that number to see your value that you bring, is one of the hardest things to do. I experienced that for sure at AW Direct because everyone in New
Right.
York, I got a guy. What's your price? What's your price? But when I could carve
Forgo
out,
Fleet's got it cheaper. I'll call Dave. He has it. It's fine. Don't worry about
correct,
it.
exactly.
I think
And
you and
I'll
I
just
had that conversation a couple of times.
probably did, Dennis. You probably did. But when I could carve out a customer base that I had when I was with Zips and AW Direct that understood the value that I brought, that understood the training, the rigging that I had the understanding of, those are the folks that really never questioned my price because of the value that I brought. I had a tower call me one time that he had recently purchased a rotator and he needed 4 snatch blocks that were, he wanted 12 ton. I'm pretty sure they were the 12 ton. I think I've told this story before, but it's worth repeating because it's kind of like along the same lines what Adrian experienced. And he said, these are about $1,000 a piece, Shelly, and it's a lot of money, 4 grand. I need a deal. I'm gonna need a deal on these. And I'm like, well, before I even promise a deal, let me make sure we have them in inventory, start checking my system, make sure that they're there. And I said to him, I said, are these for that new 1150 that you bought? He goes, no, 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 it's a 1075. And I'm like, whoa, good for you. And I asked him how it was going with this new rotator. Does he have enough work for the new rotator? He's like, never been busy, love it for days. We're doing recoveries with it. We're also just doing simple transport, not transports, but like moving things from point A to point B that only the rotator can do. And I asked him, I go, tell me, and he's pushing my price down. He's wanting it to be cheaper on these snatch blocks for this rotator. And I said, what is your process if someone calls you and they want to just move, let's say, 5 containers from point A to point B in the same yard? They're not having to transport it down the road anymore. How would you handle that quote? He said, well, I need to know how far away they are to figure out the mileage. I need to know, am I going to need a 9055 or potentially another truck to help? And how many employees? So I bill it out like I would essentially the invoice, and I send it over to them on the email, on the fax, whatever, however they're going to take it in. And then I wait for them to call back. I go, okay, they call back. Oh my gosh, sticker shock. Sticker shock for days. Are you kidding me? I had no idea it would be this expensive. What in the world? How do you handle that? Shelly, this happened to me last week. I said, awesome. How'd you handle it? He said, I get the guy on the phone. He calls me raging, saying, I can't believe, it's going to cost this much. So I started new truck. I start justifying the cost. Man, if you can understand the insurance, the cost of that rigger that's behind the wheel of a rotator is not cheap, and 2 miles to the gallon of fuel on a rotator, on and on. And this guy was not hearing it at all. So honestly, I ended up hanging up the phone on this guy. I said, that's very interesting that you hung up the phone on this guy that's pushing your price down. And at that moment, I hung up the phone on my customer.
Yes.
You were
Yes.
anticipating that,
Yeah,
weren't
yes.
you?
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for
I
it.
hung up the phone on him and he called me back and he said, "You ship 'em, rascal." He goes, "You rascal, you sucked me into that one, didn't you?" I go, "I sure did, buddy." He said, "I'm mad at you." I go, "Why can you make money and I can't make money?" And he said, "You're right." He's like, "You're right, Shelly. You're right. Ship them, but I'm not going to talk to you for at least a week."
That's fine.
And I proved my value to him.
Right.
It was a hard conversation for him to hear, but I proved my value.
And to the consumer, and when I say consumer, that could be the stranded motorist on the side of the road Googling tow truck near me,
Mm,
or that could be the commercial fleet enterprise looking for a full-time tower to manage all of their breakdowns. That could be a repair shop looking for somebody to handle their tow-ins. That could be a dealership looking for somebody to contract with. That could be a police department looking for a new tower. So when I say consumer end user, that's who I'm talking about in that case. But to that end user, to that consumer, there's not a lot to differentiate between towing companies if you don't know the industry, right? If you
true.
don't know much about the industry, you see a tow truck is a tow truck is a tow truck is a tow truck, right? And this industry, frankly, doesn't have a great public perception image, right?
Mm,
We have an image problem in this industry. And so when you have a well-dressed operator out there who is in the correct high vis, he's got the correct clothing on, he's in a clean uniform, not a uniform that's covered in grease from the last three jobs he was on, or came back from the uniform place disgusting and didn't get replaced. He's in a clean truck, a truck that has, it doesn't have to be a perfect truck, right? But it's clean, right? You've got your name, your phone number, it's easily identifiable. Your name's not hidden in
mm,
color matching lettering, right? You're identifiable. People know who you are. That is the visible thing that can
yeah.
set you apart from your competition here, right? And so
Yes.
it's so important the image that we project when we go out there as towers. And I say, we because I've been in this industry a long time, and I can still
Mm,
consider myself to be a tower. But the image that we project when we go out there is the most important thing, because to that end user, to that consumer, to that customer, there is not a lot to differentiate. And yeah, I may have, a $3 million blanket insurance policy compared to Shelly's Towing's $1 million blanket insurance policy, or maybe even an $800,000 policy, right? But does the user know that? Just the consumer on the side of the road calling because they have a flat tire? Do they know that? Do they care?
no, and the day especially that consumer needs to call a tow truck is the worst day they've had in a really long time. Highly emotional. And so when you can present yourself professionally, clean truck, let me come here. You need a jump start, tire change, lockout, gas, whatever the case may be. We're going to get you rolling and going as best as possible to deflate those emotions.
Staffing was another thing that came up, and I know
Yeah.
you and Adrian discussed that, and I know you've discussed that with tons of towers over the past year or so, and so have I. It's a problem plaguing not just the towing industry. It is across so many different kinds of businesses, where again, it's that conversation about worth, right? Being able to keep up wages, being able to maintain benefits programs. We had a conversation with a tower last week where, um, um, refresh my memory. Who were we talking with in Ohio last week, Shelly?
In Ohio last week, we were not in Ohio. I don't know. There's a lot of, oh, Jason Keller, Keller
Jason
Brothers
Keller.
Enterprise.
Yes,
That one.
yes. Jason
Yes.
Keller. He had drivers that are willing to come over from the
Yes.
competition to even take a pay cut because they want a better work-life balance. That's something that is
Mhm.
unheard of in this industry, right?
Yeah.
There was never a work-life balance coming up in this industry. There was a work-work balance, right? You balanced your work with your work, and you worked 12-hour days, 6, 7 days a week. You worked around the clock sometimes. You worked overnights. We weren't we
Mm-hmm.
weren't too
Exactly.
we weren't too concerned with
Yeah.
DOT regulations and hours of operation and all that other stuff that goes on. Um, and now these are things that are important to people now. People have families, they want to be home with their families. We live in a different world than we did, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And that's the industry has changed. All industry has changed, but this industry has changed a lot. But what are you hearing for towers on that subject?
You know, I'm hearing that there has to be a clear path of growth to become a professional. Like you, when you get hired, what was your first job? It was an overnight dispatcher. That is, let's just say it, that is the lowest ranking entry level job, to have. It's, you start at either a light duty tow truck or even a service vehicle, not even towing, or you starting out at the night dispatcher. And I mean, you're just getting your bearings, you're learning, and you start there. And I think that when these companies, and I've seen it be successful over and over again, when they can bring someone on and they can show them this is your clear path to growth to be a professional here. We are going to train you. We are going to put resources into you. You are a valuable part of our company being successful. When that can be spelled out, not just once, but multiple times over the course of the year, what do you want to do professionally? I want to be a rotator operator. Fantastic. Here's where we're going to start. We are going to credential you. We're going to train you in all light duty, and then we're going to move you up into a medium. And then let's say after a year or two in the medium duty, we're going to have you start and begin your training on the rotator. The same thing with dispatchers. You started out as a night dispatcher. Okay, what's the next step? I want to go to a day dispatcher. And next step, I want to learn the back office. I
I'm
want to learn
I'm
what
gonna
it
be
looks
a
like.
call taker. I'm gonna start just ingesting calls. I'm gonna be the impound release person, right? Just sit at the window and handle impound releases. I'm gonna be the light duty dispatcher, and I'm gonna dispatch the light duty trucks. Great. We're gonna move you up to a medium and heavy duty. Now we're gonna have you be the scheduling person that schedules out our routes for our commercial rental customers, right? We've got landalls and trailers and industrial carriers that are being booked 4 or 5 days in advance, weeks in advance sometimes,
Yeah,
right? And that's its own role in the business, right? That's a whole
100%.
separate role. And so yeah, to your point though,
And
that starting with the fundamentals and working your way up.
And the path to growth can look different for different people. There are folks that want to be in a rollback for the rest of their life, and that's what they enjoy and that's what they love. I've got a great friend down in Orlando, Florida that works for Johnson's. Her name is Tosh, and she is one of the best light duty operators that I personally know of. She is also the trainer for the folks, and she can clear a scene. And I don't know, she'll probably correct me when she hears this, but like less than just a handful of minutes. And she's so efficient, and she trains people to be more efficient. But she's been in the industry for 20 plus years. She's going to correct me on that one too, probably 30, I'm not sure. But she's just an amazing, if you ever have a chance to meet her, especially at the Florida Tow Show. So that path of growth can look different ways, but ensuring, like retaining and training them is like insurance. It's like number one, you are valuable. We need you here. You serve a purpose. And now let's make a clear path of growth for you in your career with us so that you stay, so that there is longevity.
And this is something, that can be replicated in any industry, but it's fun. It's about finding out who that person's skill sets are. What are you good at? What are you good at learning? And B, what do you want to do too, right?
Mm,
Because somebody who's great at mowing grass but doesn't want to be outside all day, well, then that's not really a great job for you, right? I'm looking out my window watching my neighbor's landscaper. That's where that came from. Um,
nice.
but that light duty, to your point, great. You may be a great light duty recovery operator, right? Maybe you're excellent at recovering vehicles, but you don't want to move up into a bigger truck. You want to stay in your light duty, and you want to do auto recoveries, and you don't want to move up into big truck recoveries. That's fine too. There are other avenues of growth there too, like you said, training other operators,
Hmm.
potentially doing other things within the company as well. So retention,
Mentoring. Yeah.
mentoring, yeah. It's important to understand people's skill sets and also understand where people want to be, because nobody wants to show up to a job every day that they don't like doing either. And again, it's about that work-life balance that we're really starting to see in this industry. That 12, 14, 18, 20 hour day every day is not the norm anymore. And people want to go home, and people want to be healthy too, right?
Yeah.
People.
You hit something that I want to chat about a little bit, understanding the skill set and understanding the natural abilities and even the personalities of folks as you hire them. Our friends over at Santa Fe Towing have their onboarding process. Their employees take a personality test, and
I
some of
would
the
fail
managers.
that.
Well, no, it's not a pass or fail,
I'd
Dennis.
still
And
fail.
so you take the personality test, and the personality test is a really fantastic personality test, and it shows all your strengths and all your not strengths and weaknesses, but it shows what you're good at, and on like I'll show you mine one day and you'll laugh at it because you'll know exactly. Yes, they're spot on with everything that you said here, Shelly. But why do they do that? They do that so that the management knows how to manage them. So, for example, when you come into work and the manager is just like banging his head against the table, trying to figure out how to communicate better with you, you go in the file and you look up Dennis's personality and says, okay, now I understand what best way to communicate with Dennis. The other thing that Santa Fe shared with us is it will also put the two personality tests together. So I take a personality test, Dennis takes a personality test, then the system will put the two together and say, if Shelly and Dennis have to work together, what are going to be some great successes and what are going to be some potential problems that they have? And Renee and I actually did that. We took the personality test instead of Shelly and Renee work
I
together.
would love to see those results. I need an in-depth recap of that could be a whole episode on its own.
Yeah, I will be mentioning my significant other on the podcast, Renee Jimenez. He's the new product development engineer over at BA Products. So when I say my Renee, that's who we're talking about. So no,
Tolgott Renee.
yeah.
Togod Renee.
Is that what it's called? Is that isn't it? I call him the rigging closet, Renee. He understands rigging far more than I do. But so yeah, I mean, like understanding, going back, understanding your folks, what their strengths are, and where you can best grow those strengths, and maybe the weaknesses, flexing the weak muscle, making them a better communicator. If they're not really good at like micro communicating, let's work on that. I love when I see companies do that. Clear path of growth, creating a culture of understanding that you are a professional here, and also understanding the skill set of your employees. These are some of the keys that I've heard over the years in hiring and retaining. And I can't wait to do this rubbing on and I'm really excited who our guests are going to be, but we can't talk about it. I got to keep it around.
Not yet. Not yet. Stay
Not
tuned.
yet. Stay
Stay
tuned.
tuned.
Yeah.
So last topic we have on the board for today, I think is going to be my favorite topic. This is where I really thrive. But
The New
technology in
York
the future.
Yankees. The New
New
York
York, we're
Yankees.
not going to talk about that. They're not doing so hot.
Then never mind.
They're not.
Technology. Yes.
Technology and the future.
Technology in the future. I love it. I remember being around back in, early 2000s when not when Tracker got their start, Dispatch Anywhere got their start, but certainly a couple of years after that. You can speak to that even better than I can because you've been on those platforms.
I remember having to type in runtracker.exe into an MS-DOS window on a Windows 98 computer. So
Right. Oh, our product manager Duncan is going to love when you when you say that. That's going to be fantastic.
runtracker.exe.
EXE, fantastic.
Yeah, I was a tracker user way early on, uh, that was over at Mike's Heavy Duty, and before that, everywhere else I was in the industry was small shops. We only had a couple of trucks, but everything was pen and paper, right? Everything was pen and paper and logbooks and notebooks, and just game changer, right? Game changer. And pairing a quality management software with a quality GPS program for your trucks was just absolute game changer. It made dispatching not only easier, but made it much more efficient and made it much smarter.
We had Jason Keller mention to us when we talked to him last week. I will go days and not have any communication, direct communication with my operators, like a phone call or even a text message, because the communication is so seamless in Dispatch Anywhere. And you certainly remember the days where maybe you do. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to ask how old you are, but the tower would have a stack of quarters in his vehicle
Oh yeah.
to call on the payphone, and there was no cell phone device
I mean,
to
we
communicate.
we were a little bit different. We had a C-band radio in in all the
Nice.
trucks. So we had, it was one big party line with everybody, which was great for conducting business when the lines were clear, but there, get 40, 50 New York tow truck drivers on the
I
horn at the same time, and
can't imagine. I'm
things could
trying to
get a
hear.
little chaotic. Things would get a little chaotic, especially, God forbid, the dispatcher was on the phone and didn't pick up the radio right away, or didn't just give him a standby, and was, in the middle
Screaming.
of, somebody pick up the radio. I'm waiting here. I dropped this. Do you want to give me another job, or should I just go home?
I can hear it right now.
Hold
But
on
even
30 seconds, please. I will be right with you. Let me finish entering this call from the NYPD captain that wants an expedited truck. Please wait 30 seconds.
yes, but tracker.exe was more efficient than your pen and paper, than
Oh,
whatever. So
absolutely.
we've
And
made,
and
yeah,
this was long before there were even, two-way communications out of your towing management software, right? This was long before you could send a job to a phone or, so we still had to have that communication between the drivers, but just the ability to manage the jobs and see who was working on what job. And then, you click over to the GPS window. I forget what GPS program we were using at the time. That's long gone now. It was one of
mm,
those, again, computer based. Um, it was on your computer. It wasn't in the
yeah,
cloud. But again, having that and going, okay, well, John's 15 minutes away from dropping, so I can give him this call next, and just being able to plan the next moves and being able to see how long a driver had been on a job, so you can call him and go, hey, Jimmy, what's going on? You've been on this call 35 minutes. It's a tire change. What's going on here, right? Or
yeah.
do you need help? Do I need to get somebody to help you? Does this vehicle need to be towed? What's the scenario? What's going on? And being able to manage that and see that, and then go back and say, okay, well, let's look, see how many calls Shelli did today. Let's go
Mm,
run Shelli's commission report for the day. Just
hmm.
made and then we got to a world where you could actually send invoices to clients, and
Wild.
you could at the time, before email, you could fax from Tracker.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
That's fantastic.
And so you used to fax your invoices over out of Tracker. And again, game changer, because you didn't have to print them out and fold them up and put them in an envelope and stuff the envelope and stamp the envelope and drop them at the post office and hope they got them and call them and say, just Hey, and they'd call you up and say, "Hey, can you send me over an invoice?" Great, let me fax it over to you. And then we were able to email invoices.
Hmm.
This was, obviously before there was the driver app, but we had our own way of doing the driver app. I had a text message platform on my computer, and I would just copy and paste all the job details and text it over to the driver, and that's how we did it then.
That's awesome. Yeah. Did you also use that same technology when you went out to California?
Well, in California, we had
You,
D3000, the
that's
AAA
right.
software. So it was a lot of, two-way communication between the tablets and the trucks and things like that. But outside of that, we had a similar model for getting our non-AAA jobs in and out of Tracker and getting over to drivers. But again, the driver app really wasn't hadn't taken off yet. That's still a relatively new piece across the industry, and
Very.
it's very impactful though, right? It's cuts down on thousands of phone calls a
Mhm.
day, right, in and out of your dispatch center, and just allows your dispatchers to free them up to be a little bit, spend another 30 seconds getting the right information on a call, right? Spend another minute talking to a customer and just letting them know everything's going to be okay, because they don't need to talk to a driver every time he's clear and waiting for another
No.
call. He just sends you back, tells you he's clear, you send him his next one, right?
All that to say, you have experience on Tracker. You've got experience in our product at Into. Just understanding, all this technology and the efficiencies that it brings, and what is next? What is next for Autura?
Well, what's next for Autura is, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more a lot more integrations and a lot more things that
Hmm.
are designed for the tower and for the professional business, right? The professional towing business that wants to be successful. We're going to have a whole host of products that are going to be really interesting and enticing for you to use. The AI bit seems to be coming up around the industry a lot. There's a lot of activity around AI call taking, AI impound notifications. Customer calls in and says, "Hey, where's my dude? Where's my car?" As we're calling it, dude,
Yeah.
where's my car app, and you can call in and go, "Hey," and you don't have to have a dispatcher. Inform that customer what's needed to come and pick up their car. They can just say, okay, well, this is what you need. This is what it costs. This is the paperwork you need to bring. And if they want to yell and scream and piss and moan at a dispatcher, you can do that with an AI agent, right? And an AI agent can sit there and listen to that customer complain all day
Mhm.
long, and will never have to get up and take a break after that, right? They're never going to have that AI dispatcher is never going to have a
Yeah.
bad day because they were arguing with a customer. Um,
Yes.
I know you've had some conversations with some folks that are using AI tools to write recovery narratives and um,
Mhm.
things of that nature too. So I expect to see a lot of different use cases for AI around this industry over the next year or so.
Yeah, and it is our topic of discussion because it is relatively new in our industry, and it no doubt is going to bring efficiencies to our towing industry, and I'm super excited about it. I want to encourage folks that are not familiar with the power of AI to know that, a lot of times, we're like a little bit fearful of something that we don't know. And I recently said this to my dad because we were talking about AI. I go, we are fearful of something that we are not educated about. So get educated about it. I remember the last podcast that Brad and Jeff recorded for the Tow Business Podcast. He went in great detail about the GPTs that he has built out for his business. And I was highly impressed by Jeff Paquette over at Southside Record by doing this. I mean, it is a powerful tool that is just as powerful or even more powerful than the technology that we were talking about that you were using earlier to dispatch, to run the back office, to bring the efficiencies, to see how profitable am I. And it's going to come together as just a beautiful landscape of a dashboard for towing companies to manage their business.
Yeah, and if you're not using AI or planning on using AI in your business in the next 6 months, you're lagging behind. The big folks are already using it, and like you mentioned Jeff and Brad, two real industry influencers, and I would say two of the most future facing towers that I know of at least, and there are plenty of others there too. Uh, but if you're not using AI somewhere in your business or planning on using it in the next 6 months, you're going to be lagging behind. This
So
is the
let's go
future.
ahead and soften that message a little bit, Dennis. Let's say I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to encourage you to explore AI
I
and
don't
to be
soften things. I
curious,
don't soften
to be
things.
curious about AI.
Go learn about it, please. Go learn about it and learn where you can use it in your
Yes.
business. And I'm saying this as a warning. I don't want it to sound like a warning, but I do want people to understand that this is where the future is now. And even just as simple as like writing recovery narratives or using it
Mhm.
to do some simple math calculations to figure out your P&L statements and things like that. There are dozens and dozens and hundreds of use cases for you to use AIs and GPTs and
Mhm.
large language models within your business. And I would expect to see some really cool tools coming out in the industry from places like Autura and others in the next couple of months and years. I think we're going to see some really highly specialized use cases for AI in this industry, and I think it's going to be really fun to watch. But on that
100%.
subject,
Yeah.
Shelly, you mentioned people being fearful of these things or having some hesitancy of getting involved. There's not been a single piece of technology in this industry that has not been met with some sort of pushback from this industry,
True.
right?
Very
Going all
true.
the way back to when we switched from mechanical to hydraulic wreckers, right? When we switch from mechanical to hydraulic, there are still, and I'm sure there are still people today that go, I can't, I don't need anything but my mechanical, and that's how I'm going to run my business.
What about switching from chain to synthetic rope or even round slings, endless loops? You're like, wait a minute, I can pick up something with this thing and it's just this? What?
Yeah, yeah, great. You can go out there and probably do that same recovery with a straight stick instead of a rotator, right?
You
But
bet
that
you can.
rotator makes the job easier. It allows you to work safer, more efficient, close
Yep.
down less roadway. It's a
Single lane
tool.
uprights. Yes, single lane uprights, all of it.
The self loader, right? People, what do I need a self loader for, right? Why can't I just get out and hook up the car? That's just a lazy man's truck. Well, there are use cases for that. You've got the repo industry, you've got the private property industry. You want to get in and get out as quickly as you possibly can, right? You've got relocations and moving cars in parking lots for construction companies. There's a million use cases for these pieces of technology. All that's just to be said is that look, it's just another new piece of technology, and we're moving forward in this industry, and we'd love for you to join the ride and move forward with us.
100%. This has been fantastic, Dennis.
This has been fun, Shelly. One thing I kind of want to do, and kind of want to make this a habit. I think I'd love to call this the watch this space, and I'd like to know from you. Don't roll your eyes at me. I can
Ah, you
see
saw me
that.
do that.
I can
I
see. I
did.
can see you. You know that
Watch,
I can see you.
you can watch this space.
What is one thing that you think towers should be looking for between now and the next podcast? What do you think is the one thing that they should be looking for, looking into? Yeah, and the next podcast, if we get cleared to do another one, that's what I
I
mean.
I sincerely hope that we get cleared to do another one, Dennis. I'm sure. Um, I don't know. Do your research on AI. I think that that's the one thing at the end of this because it's the one unknown. We know insurance is going up. We know that. We know, find, find a group to be a part of to build a better culture for hiring in your towing company, but also be curious about AI. Ask your network of towers out there who is using it and how they're using it and to get some ideas.
Damn it, Shelly, you stole my watch this space. That wasn't going to be my watch
You
this space.
asked me. You asked me.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Okay.
This is
Well,
how we're gonna start this off.
I
Okay, I
told
see
you
how
we were
this
gonna
is
be
gonna go.
fighting. Yeah,
This is how this is gonna go. Well, I
100%.
also think you should watch the AI space, and I think you should, like Shelly said, talk to your friends, talk to your competitors, right? How are they using things, and just get an understanding of how it works. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to us. We've been working with AI technology for a while. More than happy to chat it up with you if you're going to be at a tow show. Not sure when this is going to drop, but we'll be at the Midwest Regional Tow Show in Ohio. I'm not sure if this is going to come out before or after that. We will be at the Tennessee Tow Show, of course, bringing it back home to Chattanooga.
That's right.
And then we'll also be in Baltimore at the end of this year. So please come and chat it up with us. We've got some great products to sell you too, and we can introduce you to some folks if that's what you're interested in. But if you just want to talk about the future and where this industry is headed, we'd love to just
Hmm.
sit down and have a conversation. That's what we're really all about.
Yes, connecting the people that are out there. And we are privileged to be a part of a group of towers that I say that they are entrepreneurs that are serial idea generators. You create an amazing space for us. You have fantastic ideas. You network with each other. And, going back to the AI topic real quick, I know a host of towers that are working on AIs internally, just in their own business. They're also networking with groups to build out AIs. There's a couple vendors out there that are doing some AI things that are interesting. We'll connect you with all of those if you're curious. Just to have the conversation. Conversations are free. Stop by and see us, call us, message us. Dennis, how can people find us and reach us?
I believe we are at meet.autura on Instagram.
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 I'll give you my email is dmcgowan at autura.com. You can reach out to me anytime. My email is on my phone, so I promise you I'm going to see it immediately. I might not respond immediately, but I will see it immediately. Shelly, how can we reach you?
Shawkins, S-H
Shawkins.
Shawkins, Shawkins at Autura, Autura.com. Will get to me immediately and I'll respond immediately, Dennis.
I need to
Dennis,
think about my response, okay? I'm not going to just fire off a response.
fair
But
enough.
like you said, conversations are free, but running a podcast isn't. So we do need to thank our official sponsor is our good friends, our management, our leadership here at Atora that have allowed us
Yes.
to have this free form. This episode is brought to you by Atora, technology built for towers to modernize operations from dispatch to impound to auction. Learn more at atora.com.
Well read.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's what we're here for. But
Yeah.
we've unpacked the state of towing report. You know who we are. This is the beginning. This is episode
Yes.
one. The force is with us. We will be back hopefully soon with some new episodes, some great content, some great guests. We're looking forward to really picking this back up and getting back out across the industry. Who knows? Maybe we'll do some live shows from a tow show if you're so inclined to get involved. If you have some topics you want to discuss or you want to hear more about, please reach out to us. There are a million topics that have been talked about. We'd love to explore some of those as well. If you've got some recommendations for who you think might be a great guest talking about the future of technology and towing, please again reach out. Let us know. We're more than happy to have some conversations. As Shelly said, conversations are free.
This has been fantastic.
This
It's
has
like
been
riding a
incredible.
bicycle, riding a bicycle. Like we
Right
haven't missed
back,
a beat, Dennis.
right back to it. Right back to it. This is the Tow Trend Podcast, conversations on where the towing industry is today and where it's headed tomorrow.